I was quiet about my entire spiritual experience with all this for years. Like, I'm just now starting to talk about it, right? For years and years and years, I built up enough experience and magical experience. I have so many magical stories with my spiritual military that I literally, it's just endless. At this point, I built up my faith to the point where, like, literally when I talk about faith, I'm talking about a muscle. What's going on? I'm AnokhiTheOne, back with another video, and in this video I am going to be talking to you guys about how to activate your spiritual military. And this whole concept is a major part of the principles of learning to thrive, which is an active journey. Okay, and with that active journey, because a lot of us, basically all of us, have been programmed to survive. We've been programmed to run, to be scared, to be afraid, right? We have been programmed to believe that there are all these enemies out there, especially if you are from a black church, that the devil is lurking and demons is always lurking around the corner trying to get you, right? But there's not enough emphasis on support, right? On the entities, the elements, the principles that help you to thrive without you having to do all the work. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like spiritually working smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Allowing your guides, your guardians, your spiritual military to work on your behalf, right? Why don't they? Why? What? Right? When I first started to awaken and I started to question these things, and I actually started to take the spiritual realm really seriously, it didn't take me long of going down the rabbit hole of figuring out like heaven, hell, demons, devils, dark energy, light energy, for me to realize, how come nobody talked to me about angels? How come nobody talked to me about my support? They only talk to me about my adversaries and how to stray away from them, but they don't put a big emphasis on how to actually walk with God, like how to connect. You see how crazy that is? How to connect to your guardian angels. They almost never talk about angels. Your guardian angels. Guardian angels are in just about every religious culture or spiritual culture that there is, yet you never hear anybody talk about it, right? So I'm going to talk about it because my experience with angels has been very, very rich, very fruitful, very comforting, very peaceful. And when I talk about thriving, how, like, if you were able to see or feel this feeling physically, if everywhere you walked around you had, for example, it's like bodyguards, right? Huge bodyguards, right? That are impenetrable, okay? That are ancient. I'm getting chills. Oh my gosh, I'm getting chills. They're ancient bodyguards, swole. They know your moves before you know your moves. You know what I'm saying? They know the moves of the enemy before the enemy knows what they about to do. Okay? And they may even like allow some things to happen in your life so you can grow stronger, because although you have this protection, you have this shield, you have this covering, this type of like light energy, light working, and being a teacher, you have a strong calling. It will call you to be stronger too. It's not going to be like, like this, right? Like how it's almost like the world wants to be. Like they want to be coddled, right? No, your angels aren't going to coddle you, but they're going to protect you, and they're going to lead you and guide you in a way. Your angels, your guides, your God, being in the university of the universe, you're not going to be coddled. You're going to be built up stronger, but you're also going to be protected at the same time. Like, that's fire. That's thriving. You get what I'm saying? It's thriving. So point number one on how to initiate and activate this spiritual military that we all have is to ask. Okay, that's number one. With all this stuff spiritually, when it comes to light, when it comes to the light, when it comes to positivity and things that get you to where you actually want, you have to ask for that. Okay, angels, the light energy is not going to impose itself on you, right? The light energy is not going to force you. It's not going to try to get you to believe in it. You see how different that is in religion? It's not going to demand that you believe. It demands that you ask for assistance, because it's not going to impose on your free will. So the dark energies, and I don't even like to say dark energies, but the default setting, okay, that's what I'm going to say. The default setting is default. Like, you've already been programmed in school on how to be a part of the default setting. You're being programmed in the news and the media on the default setting of fear. You can call it the reptilian brain. Some people will call it the reptilian part of your brain that's conditioning fear and survival, right? You don't have to call that in. That's just going to be there. That's already in your subconscious mind, right? But when it comes to the light, when it comes to evolving and going to the next level, you have to ask for that, right? And what do I mean by ask? So asking. The first time I ever woke up to the idea of angels, guardian angels, and different things like that is when I asked God for understanding, because I had been going on a rampage of being super duper religious and very judgmental. It was very early in my awakening, which is all a part of the process. So I don't judge people who are this way now, because I was that. But I realized I'm pushing people away. I don't feel the presence of love. I don't feel high vibrational energies. I just kind of scared out of my mind, and I'm kind of afraid of demons and the devil and darkness, right? I don't feel like this is of God, right? After a while, after observation, self-awareness, right? And I asked God, I was like, I want to understand. I want to be more understanding. And something ain't right with this, right? And I'll tell the full story of that, but not long after that, maybe that night or the next night, I woke up at 3:33 and I had one of them old school clocks that was a black clock and the letters were red. And it was 3:33. Okay, and the only number pattern that I had ever seen with 3 digits was 666. And I'm like, this is half of that. What is this? What is this? What is this? Right? And I thought that surely I did something wrong. Something ain't right. This looks demonic. I was scared. So then I looked it up though. Right? I asked for understanding. I looked it up, and it is actually a very powerful angel number. And that's the first time I had ever heard of angel numbers. It wasn't like somebody told me or convinced me, hey, you should look up angel numbers. No, it happened. And then I looked it up, but that was after I asked for understanding. I asked for guidance, right? And so that was presented to me, right? And from then on, I started to understand different ways of receiving guidance and information, right? So crazy. And it has different messages based on each angel number, right? And I'm going to talk about that more later. But the whole purpose is just asking, okay? Asking in different ways. Show me, like, for example, with decision making, right? Show me, I want to, like, for example, there was a job I wanted to get at 24 Hour Fitness. And this few years ago. And I feel like it related to something else. And at the time, it was hard for me to get jobs for whatever reason. I was just on a very low vibration when it comes to money. And that's a whole nother thing, right? Raising your vibration of abundance. But I had been through a whole phase of being at a low vibration when it comes to money. And a lot of it had to do with confidence. So I was just like, I passed up a 24 Hour Fitness. And I was like, I want to work at 24 Hour Fitness. Should I work at 24 Hour Fitness? Should I apply? Should I try to get, because I had tried to work at different places. And I asked, and I said, if it's meant for me to work at 24 Hour Fitness, show me 333 by the end of the day, right? Very specific. Show me 333 by the end of the day, and show it to me in a way where I know that that's the answer, right? This is very clear, right? And the more specific you can be, the more you, like, the more, I'm trying to explain how, the more real it feels, right? Because it's just like, you could say some random stuff. You're like, you have to say it in a way where it's not as easy for your mind to dismiss it. To be like, oh yeah, well, I said that, but I see this all the time. No, you have to do something that's just like, okay, I know that this is the guidance, right? And then the more you do that, and then you take that answer and you step into that, right? Because after I got the answer, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to apply, right? I'm going to try. And then I got guidance. Like, I felt, basically, like, just different thoughts in your head, different ideas that pop in your head after you got guidance, because that helps you have more confidence in what you're about to do. So regardless, like, some people, oh, well, this is all in your mind. Well, guess what? Everything is all in your mind. It's all in your mind. Oh, it's all in your imagination. Everything is in your imagination. So if you can, if you don't believe in angels, you don't believe in, but you believe in your imagination, go with that. Whatever the case may be, however you believe, but your mind is extremely powerful. So whatever tool or way you need to get yourself to get to that point, that's fine. This works for me because I have a religious background. I have a very spiritual background, and I do feel I've always felt the presence of angels, right? It's an ancient thing. So after I stepped into that, then I got the idea, you know what? I'm not even just going to apply online, because a lot of people apply online, different things like that. I am going to dress up. I'm going to get suited and booted. Okay. I'm going to, and realize this is a while ago, and I was broke as a joke. Okay. But I still had my suits from when I wasn't broke. You feel me? Right. And my confidence had been down, right, for a while. All right. So I got that confirmation. I got the idea, I'm going to just walk up there, not walk up there, I'm going to drive up there and have a full blown suit on. And not only that, I'm going to have my resume already printed. Okay. Even though I might make a whole series on how to get employed and different things. I'm working on abundance program, but that, even though they have, apply online, blah, 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 guess what? My angels, all right, were guiding me this whole time. Okay. So I walk up in there, suited and booted. I have my resume printed on some nice paper. You know what I'm saying? A little expensive. I only had a few dollars, but I used that few dollars to invest in getting more dollars, right? And so it just so happened that when I walked in, and the first person I saw was a hiring manager. Like, that's rare. Like, a lot of times when you go try to get a job or whatever, a lot of times you have all these different gatekeepers. You have to go to the assistant, and they're kind of, they might be weird and they can't feel your presence or whatever the case may be, right? And I ended up just, right when I walked in, the first person I saw was a hiring manager. Handed him, he just like, you're hired. It's like, you're hired. He's like, do you know how many people that come up here with basketball shorts on talking about they want a job, right? Do you know how many people, like, and he was just like, okay, I'm excited. Like, come on. You already have me sold, so I know you're going to do well, right? So, but remember, it started off with asking for a sign. So when I talk about your spiritual military, this is on every realm of reality. Everything that you do, you can use this when it comes to, is this a diet that I should try? And of course you can experiment with all kinds of different things, but it's just like having that guidance, having that confidence, having that, and it's magical. It's like, it literally feels like magic when you're moving. It feels like you're thriving when you move this way, and people can feel it. People can feel it. It's so crazy, right? And so that's just an example of how powerful this is. But now, when you're in the beginning phases, right? Because I went through the whole journey of the experiences of experiencing your spiritual military after you've initiated it. But in order to get to that period where you feel strong in it, point number 2, you have to receive, right? You have to receive the guidance. A lot of people ask, I want to, give me a sign, right? And then you're given it, the sign is like this. You read the sign, you're like, you know what? I see the sign, but I'm just not gonna, I'm not gonna heed to it. I don't really believe it. Or the second you see the sign, you want to tell your friend, your old negative friend, right? And then your negative friend is like, girl, you tripping. And then you're like, dang, maybe I am tripping. And then you second guess yourself, right? No, that's a no. Okay. You ask for the sign. And I was quiet about my entire spiritual experience with all this for years. Like, I'm just now starting to talk about it, right? For years and years and years, I built up enough experience and magical experience. I have so many magical stories with my spiritual military that it's just endless. At this point, I built up my faith to the point where, like, literally when I talk about faith, I'm talking about a muscle, right? You have to build that up. You have to work that out, all right? And it doesn't feel like that when I go to different spiritual places. That's why I'm just like, this is lukewarm. I can't do it. I don't feel like my faith muscle, I'm being guided to build up my faith muscle here. I don't. Right? If anything, it feels like crutches. And what happens when you're on crutches? Your muscles actually go down. Right? If you injure your leg, because I injured my knee. When I injured my knee and I was on crutches, my left knee was like buff and all this other stuff. My right knee was just like limp, skinny. I'm like, what happened to it? That's what happens when you have spiritual crutches. Okay, it's by design. So, when you receive the guidance, receive it. When you ask for the guidance and you receive the guidance, receive it. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a what. Do something. And I literally write it down and take a picture. If it screenshot it, whatever. Because by you receiving it, it's like you're letting, whether you want to say it's your subconscious mind, your superconscious mind, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, God, that is an act of faith. Right? So asking is an act of faith. Receiving the guidance that you asked for is an act of faith. And then stepping in, right? Stepping into that, believing that it's real, right? Believing that it's happening enough to receive it. That's another act of faith. These are all acts of faith. So when you actually get to stepping in that power, you've done half the battle, right? You've had and for that example of me working at 24-hour fitness, it's like once I asked for the guidance, I received the guidance, okay, and then I kept being very in tune with my ideas and not second guessing my first thought, right? The battle was already won. Right. And then when you want to talk about the spiritual military, how they work on your behalf, okay, like the spiritual realm, where you want to call it the matrix or whatever, had it to where the hiring manager was sitting right there when I got to the building. Right. So I did my part. And then the angels did their part, right? There was nothing that I could physically do that would make that manager be sitting right there when I got there, right? I can only do the part that I can do. I can dress nice, right? I can, listen to music, get my vibes high, right? I can, print out my resume on the nicest paper that I can find. Like, that's the stuff that I can do. But after I've done all that I can do, just stand. Hold up. After I've done all that I can do, right? And I walk myself into the building. Some people second guess themselves before they even walk into the building. How you gonna get the job if you ain't walked in the building? If you ain't did that, because if you ain't taking the steps, right? And so once I did those steps, once I walked by faith long enough, then I let my spiritual team handle it. I just so happened to walk in and had a very open hiring manager who was very impressed by my whole aesthetic, my everything, everything. My application, he didn't even look at the application. By the time he looked at the application, he was already sold. It didn't matter what the application, he could have said boo boo baba on the application at that point, right? Because I did my part and my spiritual military did their part, right? And so it just ended up being a whole magical experience. And I ended up having a very good experience there. You know what I'm saying? And when you talk about like karma, good karma and different things like that, you put yourself in the realm of good karma by walking by faith and not by fear. Like had I, and this is a whole nother concept. Had I been moving out of scarcity and fear and like walked in there with a down presence, scared that they might not hire me or they might hire me, even if I were to have gotten hired, okay, with that energy, I probably wouldn't have gotten the same respect and the same, like excitement as I did when I walked in the way I walked in. I didn't walk in how I was because the girl was broke. That suit right there was the only suit I had. Okay, but they didn't know that. They're like, oh shoot, we hiring a superstar, right? Because I did have, my resume was kind of bomb, but at the same time, at that moment, my situation wasn't bomb. But they ain't had to know that. If I looked like how my situation was, okay, then my situation would have stayed like that, right? And that was a sales job. So it's just like, you need that energy, you know what I'm saying? To do that, to sell. So it's just like people get abused. They in the workplace, they get taken advantage of. They have managers that talk to them stupid. And I've had that experience too. That's why I know how important and powerful it is when you have a spiritual military that's working on your behalf and you have faith in that and you have faith in good karma and bad karma, where it's just like, okay, you want to be a crazy over there, you go ahead and be a crazy, but I'm not going to allow you and your craziness to get me out of my character to where I have to deal with some bad karma because I slipped up with you. No, I'm going to keep my good karma going. Okay. And I'm walk by faith and I'm going to continue my walk. Okay, and then the good karma's gonna come. It's gonna come. Trust me, it comes. Just like the bad karma comes, the good karma comes, right? So that was just all coming together to show you the journey of working with your spiritual military, how it works, how it feels. It literally feels like magic. It's a magical experience. And I highly recommend writing this down, like writing down every step of the way in your journal. I asked for spiritual guidance in the form of blank be blank because stuff like that has happened to me. Like I'll ask for a sign and I may not be like specific for that day. By the end of this day, I may just ask for a sign on a certain situation. And it's not until months later that I receive that sign and I remember that, I feel like I asked about this, and then I'll go back in my journal and boom, very specific. Right. And so I think that's very important to document that, even if you are more of somebody who likes to do voice recordings, do that whatever way, because it's your own practice, right? It's your own experience. You're the only one that experiences your life, right? So you have to take your intuitions, your self-awareness, your experiences extremely seriously, even though the world will tell you to take everybody else's experiences and everybody, they're qualified and nobody is more qualified, okay, to give you guidance on your life. Nobody is more qualified to pinpoint your situation or what's going on inside you internally than you. Okay, nobody is more qualified, right? Your angels and your guides and God and things like that, they're there to assist you on your journey, but nobody is more qualified. You can ask for signs and things like that, but nobody is more qualified to document and to remember and to learn from the University of Universe than you. You have to learn those lessons alone. Okay, so let's recap. Ask, believe, receive. Okay? Ask for guidance. And once you ask for guidance, take that seriously and believe that the guidance that you received is guidance, right? And walk by faith towards that guidance once you get that answer, right? Because that means you're taking it seriously. You're soaking it in, and receive it. Record it, write it down, take a picture. I don't give a what. Because that is building up your faith muscle. And the more you have those experiences, whether good or bad, because there's sometimes when you ask for signs and different things like that, and you don't walk by that faith, or maybe if you do walk by that faith and you still receive like some kind of pushback, if you're not writing it down, you may not see exactly, right? And I wouldn't say error or what the guidance is. Maybe you asked for something that maybe you didn't want, or maybe you asked for something and you received it and realized that you didn't want. Does that mean that you were wrong? No, it means that you asked for something, you got it, and once you got it, you're like, it's not that great. Now you can ask for something else, right? So if you're not documenting it, how will you remember that whole process so you can repeat it again? You get what I'm saying? So let me know in the comments what you think about this. If you've experienced receiving spiritual guidance, how you receive spiritual guidance, and also video ideas based on this. Like what more do you want to hear about this? Do you want to hear some more story times? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next video.